What's up, everybody? In today's video, we're going to be going over the book, The Parallel Entrepreneur by Ryan Buckley. Now, this book is not well known. You can tell kind of like by the book that it's not super popular or professional. It's not like the best cover, but I still think it's a really good book to check out. But before we get to that, I wanted to remind everybody to subscribe to this channel to help me out, like this video, and check out the description to this video because there's ways that you can support me. You can use an Amazon affiliate link to buy this book, and when you buy it using that link, it'll help me out. You can also donate to me through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description, but any way to support me will be in the description. I might change it over time, so that's just an FYI. But let's get into this book. The reason I got this book is because I'm interested in working for myself, and I've done a lot of books about that on this channel. I'll continue to do that. I have another book I'm reading right now, which is Fire Me, I Beg You. I think that's the name of it. But I'll probably be reviewing that after this book. But this book is for anybody that wants to eventually work for themselves and quit their job and build a business, a side business. And that's why it's The Parallel Entrepreneur. It's how to start and run companies while keeping your day job. And that's one of the big themes of this book is this author doesn't want you to quit your job. He wants you to work on things on the side until you can afford to replace your income. One of the key metrics in this book is to get 100 customers to pay you $100 every month for a subscription service. And specifically in this book, it's software as a service, which is, he recommends building a web app. And you're either going to have to learn to code or pay somebody to help you build the app. And he says in the beginning of the book that it's divided into theories and tactics. In the beginning, he goes over a lot of parallel entrepreneurs, and he goes over their stories and how they started a bunch of businesses, like Jack Dorsey at Twitter. He also started other companies like Cash App, I think Stripe. I could be wrong about that, but there's also Elon Musk. Elon Musk, as you know, worked at PayPal. He had a company before that. He has Tesla, SpaceX. And even though he's only somewhat an investor in some of those, he still helps out, and he does it on the side. And he has a boring company. There's a lot of things about there. But he has a lot of other metrics in here, like churn. And churn would be how many of your customers come and go, because at some point you need to scale a business. And a lot of people get stuck in the beginning phase where they only make a very low amount of money, and then they just can't get past that. And then he just talks about scaling. And that's kind of the reason he recommends using software as a service, because a software as a service, you can scale it up pretty easily with a low amount of people. And we talked about this in the one-person $1 million business when I went over that book about, how it's hard to start a $1 million person business. You have to outsource a lot. So that's why software as a service would be good if you wanted to do a one-person business. And that's another thing he says about software as a service business, that if you start a software as a service business, you can also start another one. So you can keep experimenting and you can utilize the skills that you learn over and over, where if you start another kind of business, then you can't necessarily do that. Another thing he says that I think is really good is don't try to start a business in your in the current job that you're working on, because you might run into conflicts of interest and stealing proprietary information. Your employer might sue you. He also talks about like whether or not you need a partner. He doesn't recommend using a partner because it just makes things complicated. He recommends, he even gives you advice on to use an LLC versus other type of entities, and he gives the reasons why. So I think that's very useful. And he also gives on specific tools to use, like Balsamiq and Ninja Mock, to mock up the UI design of your web app. But he also gives an idea of like how to build a funnel for your app, and also how to get the idea off the ground. And it kind of mirrors what Tim Ferriss says in the 40-Hour Work Week, where it's put up a bunch of advertisements about what your software could be, have that lead to a lead page, a landing page, and then on the landing page you can collect emails. And if you ever read about digital marketing at all, then this will be familiar to you. He just gives specific advice, not super specific, like not how to set up a campaign or anything like that, but he gives an advice on how to like use landing page software, just basic ideas of running an ad campaign and then having that lead to the landing page. And it's really unique because it is a good idea. If you have an idea in your head and you think it's halfway decent, then you should probably try it out with this method, because a lot of people, they just have the idea and they're like, this would be a great idea, but they never test it. And this would be a way to test it. And he talks about, A and B testing. You have one page that is one kind of product, and another page that's just a small differentiation on that, just so you could see which of your campaigns is working better for launching your software as a service. And another key thing he has in here is marketing. He says marketing is a skill that you really need to learn, because you're not going to sell anything, you're not going to get anybody if you don't have any marketing. And that's where he recommends advertising. And if you are going to have a business partner, that they be a specialist in marketing, because that way it's easier to get your app off the ground. I think overall this book is really good because it really encourages you to start something on the side, but also he opens your eyes into how much time you have. And if you use your job, you can use that as a safety net to try out a bunch of different ideas. Maybe you have to build software skills, and he gives a whole bunch of software advice in here. He recommends using Heroku to host your software, use Ruby on Rails, and you can use JavaScript later, use SQL Postgres for your database, and he's like, use the right stack of software or outsource it. But he gives like the stack of software, he gives all the options, and you can look into each one, figure out which one you like. He obviously gives his recommendations in here. And then you can build your software as a service, or even if you don't want to do that, you can at least experiment on the side and use your job as a source of income until you can replace it. And like I said, he gives that key metric of 100 customers paying $100 each month, and that'll add up to $120,000 for the whole year. And he gives that number just as it's like a solid amount of income in the United States right now. But also he says the easiest way to get there is by selling to businesses, because what a lot of people do is they try to sell to the end consumer, to just a regular civilian, and you try and sell thousands, tens of thousands. But what that involves is a lot of customer service. He ran a business like that, and it was a headache, he says, where $100 to a business every month, especially like small, medium, larger businesses, the medium and larger aren't going to care about $100. And there's going to be less customer service because it's only 100 people. You're not going to be spending all your time doing customer service. So I really like that idea. It sort of limits your scope of ideas and allows you to come up with ideas for businesses. It might be hard for you to come up with ideas, but it might be easier if you're doing it while you have a job and you use your spare time. But you do have a lot of spare time. You might not realize it, but you do, and you can use that over months, years, to just increase your skills, to not be fearful of trying out new ideas. And so that's really what this book is about: working on a business while you have a job, and specifically focusing on software as a service if you choose to do that. So that's my review of Parallel Entrepreneur. If you are interested in, I think, building a software as a service business, or just getting ideas on how to start a small business, this book is really good. It's not well known on Amazon, but maybe this video will make it a little bit more popular. But I really recommend it if you're interested in starting something on the side. So that's my review of Parallel Entrepreneur. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching.